No, what I don't know what would make you think that I am any way really into the Hunger Games right now. I have no idea what would make you think that. Okay, I'm really into this series, okay? And we're going to be talking about the second book and the second movie, which is Catching Fire today, as part of my deep dive series into fandoms that I missed when I was younger. Fandoms I either tried and I'm giving a second chance now that I'm older and have met people that are like, hey, you should try that again. And The Hunger Games is being one of them. So I have been doing a series on my channel if you are new here, and if you're not, buckle up, because we're going to be talking about The Hunger Games Catching Fire right now. So grab your snacks, grab your drinks, and may the odds be ever in your favor. Roll the intro. Welcome back. Now, if you haven't really been around for this series, I have been diving into the Hunger Games, and we are going to talk about Catching Fire, which Catching Fire came out in, I believe, 2011, 2012. At this time, where was I? Not reading these books, because slight background with me and the Hunger Games, I tried reading the first book when it originally released, and there was a lot of hype. And Rue died. If you haven't seen the first one, I'm sorry. The series is kind of older now, and I'm pretty sure the only people that would probably be watching this is people that are also very familiar with the Hunger Games, or at least familiar with most of it. So I'm sorry if I spoiled that for you. But anyway, and then I quit reading it. I was the same age as Rue. I was 12 years old when I first read the first Hunger Games book, back when I was a kid. I read it when I was 12. So, yeah, reading the death of a character that was also the same age as me very much made me come to terms with my own morality at a very young age. And recently, I decided to start going into some fandoms that are kind of resurfacing. There's a new Hunger Games movie coming out based on the prequel book, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, and I thought that I would be doing a read-along series with me anyway, so why not just go ahead and do the deep dive, buy the books, buy the movies, actually watch the movies for the first time, which has been a whole series. I've been just throwing myself into it. If you were an original Hunger Games fan, please tell me your stories in the comments below. Did you go to, the premieres of the movies, and what were those like? I want to know, because I was watching some people's first reactions to it, and it was just amazing to see people's reactions to certain characters or certain moments, or you can tell when a certain moment is coming up, and you can kind of hear the crowd talking about it in some of the theaters, and they're like, wait, shh. It's coming. You can hear the people filming talking so excitedly. And there's something about those kinds of watching the movie theater reactions to people is how you can really tell if a movie was good or if a movie was bad. And I wholeheartedly stand by that take. Wholeheartedly. So, yeah. Long story short, I am in my 20s woman, finally diving into what I should have probably dived into as a teenager. So, we are in Catching Fire, and a quick recap is needed. So let's go ahead and talk about what Catching Fire is about. But first, it's time for a quick drink break. And if you haven't participated in my drink breaks, I'm just going to take a quick drink. You can take one with me. That's why I say grab your snacks and drinks. I'm normally drinking water, which is what I'm drinking today. I got to show these cups off because I got these movie cups for Mockingjay. I got 2 of them for 25 cents at the local thrift store, and I was very happy. Also, when I bought all the movies together as a collection, it came with this Mockingjay necklace. And so I guess now I have Hunger Games merch, as well as buying all the books for full price at Walmart. Because nobody was selling the entire set, and when they were, for some reason, when I was looking it up on Marketplace, they had, like, collector's editions and were wanting obscene prices, like $125 for 3 books just because they're signed by the author? Hello? I ain't paying that. I ain't paying that. Ain't no way. Ain't no way. And that's the tea. If you want to find some books, go to eBay. Go to eBay. eBay, I swear, on eBay. When you want to buy, when you want to find some books, all you have to do, especially when you're like someone like me that likes that young adult kind of YA area that's very popular right now, especially if you're into those kinds of books, which I always have been, go to eBay. Why? Because you can find, like, just type in YA book bundles, and you can find so many deals. You can find and collect books and get a whole bunch of books. And if you have those little library things that I've seen popping up around here, if you have some of those, that is a great way to not only get books for your personal collection, but get really good books in bulk that you can load into those libraries, because we all know sometimes people will keep the books. Not saying I have plenty of my own books right now that I need to read, and my TBR keeps getting bigger. So I'm not going around and taking people's books out, but I do know it happens because I see people complaining about it on Facebook quite a bit. So yeah, now that our drink break and my random rant about collecting books is over, just saying that it was so weird not being able to find these for a decent price and Walmart having them for the cheapest. It was so weird. I'm like, I used to see these at yard sales. Here's the thing. I used to see these books all the time at yard sales and Goodwill, but I think with the rise of the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes coming out, people are kind of holding on to them or getting them signed or something. I don't know what they're doing, but like, there was a period where every single time I went to the Goodwill, I would see Hunger Games books. And then when I actually want to freaking read them, they're gone. I swear, this is like only a book collector that only collects books strictly through like yard sales, Goodwills, that kind of thing. It's very niche, but the book collectors that collect like me, that only shop for books, discount prices, and never really the thrill of spending years collecting a certain series. Like, I seen these all the time, and then they just suddenly disappeared, and I have no idea. Anyway, back to Catching Fire. I am so sorry. So, here's the quick summary of Catching Fire. Our girl Katniss Everdeen is back home in District 12 from surviving her first ever Hunger Games, where on July 4th, take that in for a second, I'm still taking it in, on July 4th is known as the Reaping Day, where her and another boy named Peeta Mellark were selected to be part of the Hunger Games, where 2 kids, 1 boy and 1 girl from each district are, and there's 13 districts, well, 12 districts. There is technically 13. Anyway, as far as we know in the first one, there is only 12 districts, and every single year, 1 boy and 1 girl must go to the capital and kill each other off until 1 is left, and this is known as the Hunger Games. So, Katniss and Peeta, above all odds, both survive and are both claimed victors of District 12, which only has 1 other victor still alive, and that is their mentor, Haymitch Abernathy. So in the second one, Katniss is, of course, suffering with an intense amount of PTSD, which, oh my god, the representation of PTSD in this movie and in the book were so, like, just real. I don't, like, not real, like, you know what I mean? Like, Suzanne Collins didn't stray, like I said in my first video, she didn't stray from being dark or trying to be as real as she thought she could be, because the way Katniss suffers with panic attacks, whoa. And Jennifer Lawrence in the movie, this is kind of both me talking about the book and the movie at the same time. I'm probably not going to do a review of both because I feel like I can just talk about Catching Fire and then the Mockingjay era kind of in this format. If you like this format, let me know at the end of the video, by the way. But the way that Katniss suffers with PTSD and Catching Fire, I wrote this down. Like when she's seen out hunting with Gale and is trying to shoot a turkey, she sees this the tribute that had killed Rue. Again, this is going to involve spoilers. So if you're looking for a spoiler-free thing about the Hunger Games, please, I'm sorry, you're gonna have to go somewhere else because I can't make 2 of these videos. It would take up way too much of my time. So, like, she sees the first tribute that she killed from District 4. Like, I think it's actually the first person that Katniss actually kills in the Hunger Games, and the first one is the one that she sees. And she actually didn't really kill a lot of people in the first one. She actually didn't. I don't think she killed a lot of people in the first one. Anyway, like, she sees that kid, and she instantly starts having a panic attack and starts, like, acting like she's back in the games. And that was just... I'm like, oh, honey, you are traumatized. Oh, honey, you are traumatized. This ain't good. This poor girl, again, she's only 17 years old. Katniss is only 17. She's only 17. And this poor girl is so traumatized, as she should be. I'm not saying, like, there's no excuse for her to be traumatized. Nah, she deserves to be traumatized. The way the mutts, those beast things, are described in the first book, that alone would be enough to give someone a lifetime of trauma. Can we be honest? Just awful. Just, oh. So yeah, she's suffering with PTSD, and then they expect her to go on this victory tour where her and Peeta have to ride around to all the districts for the kids that they killed. Yeah, they have to go and make victory speeches about killing the kids in each one of these districts. And when they get to District 11 where Rue and Thresh were from, they have the idea to try, like, Peeta has the idea to give their winnings, to give a piece of their winnings to the families of the kids that they killed from District 11. And then war starts breaking out. Like, the people in District 11 are just, like, doing the 3-finger salute for Katniss. They're like... Because Katniss is given this heartbreaking speech about Rue and how she sees her in the flowers. And how she, like, reminds her of Prim. And it's so beautiful. And then this old man... I'm sorry if I hit the microphone. I'm sorry. This old man starts doing and singing Rue's notes, and then he gets shot. The old man gets shot, and then President Snow shows up, dirty old filthy ass President Coriolanus Snow, shows up in Katniss's house and basically is like, yeah, I know you were faking being in love with Peeta. I know he wasn't faking it, but I know you were. And you need to convince me and fall in love with that boy, or else guess what, honey? You're responsible for a revolution happening. So I need you to go on this victory tour, and I need you to impress me. I need you to convince me that you're in love with Peeta. And oh yeah, by the way, I've been stalking you and I know you kissed Gail. You have a limited time to get this done. And then this bitch leaves her a rose and walks out. All I gotta say is fuck President Snow. That's all I'm gonna say. Fuck him. Donald Sutherland did such a good job. And I'm talking about the movie now. But Donald Sutherland did such a good job of playing President Snow because I was just sitting there like this. Every time on screen. Every time he came on screen. And that's how you know an actor does their job right when they're playing the villain. I say the same thing about the woman that played Dolores Umbridge. She did such a fantastic job being that awful, awful woman and translating her to screen. And I will say that till the end of time. It's like Alan Rickman being Professor Snape. Did such a good job, which, rest in peace, Alan Rickman. I miss you so much. I loved him. But yeah, like, it was the first human that Katniss ever killed. She sees him. President Snow is now telling her she has to fucking get on this victory tour. And then, come to find out, that doesn't work out. There's uprisings. So what does President Snow do? This motherfucker decides to put all the other victors, including Katniss and Peeta, back into the Hunger Games to try to kill Katniss off. Huh? Which, Joanna Mason said everything properly. I love Joanna Mason so much. I love that the sound of her went viral on TikTok, where she's like, you know what? I'm angry.
I'm angry. You know, I'm getting totally screwed over here.
Uh-huh.
The deal was that if I win the Hunger Games, I get to live the rest of my life in peace. But now, you want to kill me again. Well, you know what?
Yes, exactly, Joanna. That's exactly how I was feeling. I'm like, words right out of my mouth. Joanna Mason, District 7, everybody. Yes.
But now, you want to kill me again.
He said, Monterey, will you serve me lemonade? I said, yes, Bill, I will. It's the day of the parade, and you look even more handsome than you did the day that
I love Joanna. And the face that Katniss makes in the movie. Jennifer Lawrence in this movie, fantastic. When it came to the acting in the Catching Fire movie, Jennifer Lawrence just smashed everything out of the park. The cast did such a stellar job in Catching Fire. Such a stellar job. I'm already going to say, Catching Fire, the movie, is one of the best adaptations of a book. Like, phenomenal. Phenomenal movie. Loved it. It was great. As well as the book. The book is so dark, and the movie does a good job of translating that this isn't the first one. This is the second one. This time, they're ready. This time, it's darker. This time, and they don't like make it darker in the more cliche ways, I want to say. They make it darker just by simply doing subtle things, and it works. And it's so good. I loved the movie, and I loved the book and how it portrayed certain things and how eerily similar you can see this being real life is one of the best aspects, I think, of the whole Hunger Games as a series. Is it parallels real life in such eerie freaking ways, and I think that's just incredible. Like, I think that's just incredible. Suzanne Collins actually did such a good job when she wrote this series, and now I understand why this became such a big popular thing, because from the outside looking in all these years, I always thought it was just because of, like, most of the press it got was it being just like, love triangle, are you Team Peeta or Team Gale? Look, what choice will our desperate dystopian heroine make? which man is for her. Like, that was very much what I thought it was. And then you actually read it and you're like, holy crap, this is actually a really good series. I don't know why they marketed it like that. It's ridiculous to me, honestly. Like, I missed out. I missed out on the Hunger Games. I missed out on the hype. I gotta say it. I am sorry that I missed out. This is actually great. I love it. There's one scene in specific in the movie that's also in the book I wrote down something about, and I really want to, like, read that off. So, here we go. The scene at the party where they are confronted with the fact that Capitol citizens were using drinks that make them puke to keep on eating just shows that the people of the Capitol are so brainwashed and delusional that their luxury, that, like, they're so delusional and brainwashed in their luxury that they are too blind to see the horrors going on, like, in reality. Like, there's this moment where Peta, who goes completely unhinged, Peta Malark is too damn selfless. Peta Malark is too damn selfless. I swear to God, all he ever thought about was this woman. Almost to a fault, I want to say. He was just thinking nothing but of Katniss. Every single moment. Every single moment along the way, this boy, Peta, has just been thinking nothing about his love for this girl and doing everything for her. Like, almost to a fault. Like, he is so unhinged to protect Katniss from the Hunger Games that without her knowledge, and in another interview with Caesar Flickerman, kind of paralleling the moment in the Hunger Games in the first one where he confessed his love for her, in this one, he's, along with all the other tributes, because again, they reaped also previous tributes and put them in kind of an all-stars, I want to say, kind of like games, like an all-stars games where all the victors from previous games come together to fight again, which is full-on bullshit. One, R.I.P. Mags. Oh my god, Mags. I felt so bad when she... Mags! I loved her. She was such a sweet old lady. Hey, Mitch was right. She was a great lady. I wish we had more of Mags. She was great. There's this part, anyway, when Peta's having his interview with Caesar Flickerman, there's this moment where he's like, you know, everything would be fine if it wasn't for the baby. The gasp that I gasped. The gasp that I gasped. I wish I had been recording my reactions, which, oh, I should have been recording my reactions, I swear. If you guys want me to record reactions for Mockingjay, let me know in the comments below. Please, please. Like, if you want me to include reactions and film my reactions as I read Mockingjay, let me know. But there's this moment where he's like, if it wasn't for the baby, oh my god, the gasp that I gasped. It was, I'm like, Peta, what the fuck, my guy? And then the thing that even ticked me off more was the fact that the Capitol citizens themselves were even like, cancel the games. We can't have this happening. She's pregnant. Oh, hell no. Hell no. Put a stop to these games, Snow. You put these games on hold, Snow. She's carrying a baby. Which is so fucking weird. Because why does it take a baby to be inside a 17-year-old's womb that's about to fight to the death with other children, other, like, in this case, other people? She's one of the youngest in these games, because again, it's victors from previous games. Why on earth does it take a baby for the Capitol citizens to realize that, shit, kids are dying? Like, true. Oh my gosh. Like, and it's so fucked up. And it's so fucked up. It is so messed up. I swear. Another great moment I want to talk about is when Haymitch says there are no winners, just survivors. And that's pretty much sums up the games for people later on. Like, Haymitch himself even says that, like, don't you realize you're never going to get off this train? You got on the train the first time, and you're going to keep getting on this train. And if things keep going the way they are, you're going to end up on this train every single year in July, having to mentor other kids from this district and mentoring them for the Hunger Games. This is your life from now on. This is it. You're on this train and you're never going to leave, which again is paralleled by Katniss's PTSD. She really hasn't left the games. Like, when she went in and was reaped, this was it. Like, this was it for her. And part of her hasn't left because it's left in her PTSD. She's never going to get off this train. And that really does also be paralleled by, like, the physical injuries of quite a few of the tributes in this one. I think there was even one mentioned that, like, was in a wheelchair or something in a previous game, or another disabled tribute that was thrown into the games regardless of their disability. Sorry if you hear my dogs barking. It's early and other neighborhood dogs are barking. You know how it is. It's shown in the fact that Peta loses his leg. He has to get a prosthetic leg. Other tributes from past games have, like, crippling issues, like substance issues, with Haymitch being on alcohol all the time, or the ones that they call, the ones from District, I believe, 6, that they call the Morphlings, because there's this pain-relieving, like, hallucinogenic thing that they have called Morphling, and now these 2 past tributes are so addicted to it that they're just completely out of it and get killed off in such horrible ways. Even when they're training, they're, like, face painting and, like, just completely out of it. And they still throw those 2 people in the games. Like, once you're in the games, that's it. Peta saying that there's no winners, just survivors, just sums up all of that. And it completely shows, again, in this book. And it doesn't shy away from that. And I think that's one of Suzanne Collins's greatest, like, things about her, and the way that she writes things is she doesn't shy away from things, but she also doesn't put it on full display, if you know what I mean. Like, mentioning Peta's leg again, or mentioning that Haymitch is always kind of having issues, even, like, later on. In the book, there's some instances where he doesn't have ready access to, like, alcohol, and how she doesn't shy away from that, but not really further going into it in an intense way, I think is one of her greatest strengths, because it doesn't shy away from it, but it also somewhat makes it more digestible, if you understand what I mean. Now, one scene I've seen people kind of going back and forth about is a scene in which Katniss is doing her assessment to get a score for the Hunger Games, and in this scene she hangs a dummy and puts the name Seneca Crane on it, which was the game maker for the games, the first games that she was in, who was then later unalived by President Snow and letting Peta and Katniss be both victors. So President Snow kind of unalived him, and Katniss found out about it. So in her assessment, she walks in and she sees that Peta has painted with his exceptional painting skills. He has painted on the floor the depiction of Rue surrounded by flowers, and it makes Katniss emotional. And a lot of people, I think, are confused then why she hangs a dummy of Seneca Crane. And I kind of wrote a response to it, so I'm going to go ahead and read that. A lot of people, I think, wonder why Katniss, in her initial assessment before the games, hangs a dummy with the name Seneca Crane on it. I think it's partially in response to what Peta does in his assessment before her, painting a version of Rue surrounded by flowers, as though he is reminding the game makers of what their games actually do and cause. In this case, the death of Rue, who was a 12-year-old girl that I think everybody was in love with. As though he is reminding the game makers of what the games actually do and cause. I think in Katniss hanging the fake hanging the fake dummy is in part due to what Peeta does. Taking the attention off of what he did, because again, at this moment, President Snow is on her trail. President Snow is looking for anyone that he can hurt and that won't really cause suspicion to the rest of the Capitol because of Katniss's unique position after winning the games and being so beloved by everybody in the Capitol. It makes it hard for him to really hurt her. Like, that's why he doesn't touch her family, but he has, like, murked entire families of other previous victors, being Joanna, Finnick, Haymitch, murked their entire families because they stepped out of line after winning the games. So yeah, Katniss doesn't, of course, want anyone from her circle, like including Peeta, to be hurt. So her taking that off of what he did. I think she also does it because it is a not subtle reminder to the game makers that simply because they control the fates of herself and others in this moment, that they too can be killed off and replaced without so much as a thought, like the now ex-game maker Seneca Crane. I think it also serves as a reminder that I believe that Katniss is the only reason that Seneca was killed off, for allowing Katniss to live. And now, by hanging this dummy of Seneca Crane, is reminding them not to make the same mistake twice. Again, in her new mission in this games, to make sure that Peeta is the one that makes it out and not her. She is fully committed to that. So I think in her partially hanging this dummy is to remind the game makers not to let her live and to not make that mistake twice. A couple little notes being Stanley Tucci is the only reason that I do not fully hate Caesar Flickerman. We fucking love Joanna Mason. We love her. That I wrote that down in my initial notes. I adore the interview portions of the movies. They give such insight into what the people of the Capitol see, and what they're shown is only like the good of the spectacle of it all. Cinna knew what he was doing when he was crafting the Mockingjay dress. He knew what he was doing. And Cinna, oh my god, I love Cinna. I'm so sorry, R.I.P. Cinna. I loved him. Ugh. Like, he knew what he was doing in crafting Katniss's image to the people and then making the final declaration of rebellion being in her dress. Ugh, iconic. Just iconic. Just iconic. Here's the note I made about Peeta with the... These were basically my reactions, are my notes. So, number 13 is... Peeta, you are out of pocket for that baby shit. Malark, you are outrageous and genius. Also kind of fucked up that it took a pregnancy announcement for the people of the Capitol to rise up and demand that the games be canceled. It took a baby being in a victor's stomach to wake the people up about kids killing kids, watching it every year without guilt for them to see anything wrong with the Hunger Games. The fuck? Plutarch being a master manipulator because of spoilers. I'm sorry, there's gonna be spoilers. But the fact that he was playing both Snow and everybody else, Plutarch is a master manipulator. Holy crap. This was actually a pretty faithful adaptation of the book. It misses a few things, like Katniss interacting with Gale's mom or the others of her district, and kind of giving us like more of a look into her daily life and the other people around her. But some of the huge, like, most of the huge things are there, and some of the stuff, like Snow having a granddaughter and getting to see more of his interactions with her, because I think it's only mentioned in one of the books. I don't know, I was kind of browsing through the wiki about her, seeing if she came up in anything else or whatever. Not really. She's mentioned somewhere, but, like, we get to see interactions with her, and how the younger people of the Capitol are reacting to Katniss, and seeing how, like, the younger girls are doing their braids like her now, or how his granddaughter makes a comment about wanting a love like Peeta and Katniss. Like, including those little bits, as well as including, like, seeing what the Capitol people see as well, and seeing more of what they see instead of what we were shown in the first movie, which was more of what Katniss was involved with and more of Katniss's life. In this one, we see more of the lives of the Capitol people. So just little things like that that they added and kind of took away made it feel like it was a good adaptation. It was a good adaptation. This was a really good adaptation. And again, Jennifer Lawrence and most of the crew just deserve all the flowers in the world. Such a good movie. Such a good book. The whole Jabberjay scene is fucked up. Let's talk about it. Imagine, for an hour, being tortured with the sounds of your loved ones screaming in your ear. Being tortured over and over and over again. You know what I would do? I would let them poke my ears out. Fuck hearing that shit. Fuck hearing that shit. If Katniss didn't already have PTSD before, she for sure the fuck does now. In the movie, it's even more terrifying. Like, it's terrifying in the book, but like seeing it on screen is even worse. Holy shit. That scene fucked up. Suzanne, what the hell, girl? What the hell? Just fucked up. Oh my god. Just absolutely fucked up. Also, that fog, that fucking fog, terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. I would rather face the wave of blood or the fucking monkeys before I face any of that shit. I won't take the fucking Jabberjays, and I'm not taking those. No, not the fog, not the Jabberjays. No, thank you. No, thank you. I would rather go and let the monkeys rip me apart. Okay. Not the way I'm going out. Hell no. That's all I'm gonna say. Nope. My overall thoughts on Catching Fire as a book. And now there's a motorcycle. I'm sorry if you heard that. My overall thoughts on Catching Fire as a book. As a sequel, it is incredible as a sequel. I am immediately going to be reading Hunger Games Mockingjay immediately after I'm done filming this video. I'm going to go and read Mockingjay. So this was a great second installment. Again, it is darker in many, many ways. And it also is just as well crafted and just as cohesive and packs as much in for as little pages as possible as the first book, and I find that such a stellar job on Suzanne Collins's part, and I quite thoroughly think Catching Fire is my favorite. I loved the first one, but this one felt so much longer than it actually was, and it packed a lot more in, and I especially liked getting to know more about what life is like for the victors post Hunger Games. So getting to meet characters like Joanna, love Joanna, Finnick, learning more about Finnick, and just all the other ones like Mags and Beatty and Wirus, which just getting to meet all the other previous victors and like learning about how they won their Hunger Games, as well as clearing up the mystery of how Haymitch won his games, and like learning more about Haymitch's past was really interesting, as well as seeing Effie and the rest of like the more immediate Capitol people around them reacting to them having to go back into the games now that they actually know Katniss and Peeta, and seeing that kind of like facade that the Capitol put on them kind of washing away, and then seeing for the first time what's actually going on for like Katniss and Peeta, and seeing how they react, like crying when they're doing her makeup, to the point that at the end only one person is left doing Katniss's makeup because the other two just can't take putting more makeup on her and essentially sending her out to the games again. They just can't take it, to the point that they're sobbing and just can't do it. They just can't do it. As well as Effie, like, giving them final gifts and calling them her victors. And, it's just so good. The book, so good. And as for Hunger Games Catching Fire, the movie, my initial movie review is, it is a good adaptation of the book that it was taking from, this one. It was a good adaptation. It was beautifully done. Some of the shots are so cinematic, so epic, terrifying. The musical score really sells everything. I find Jennifer Lawrence's portrayal as Katniss Everdeen so much better in this one. She really stepped it up a notch. Deserved all the awards for this one. Couldn't picture anybody else as Katniss Everdeen. Josh Hutcherson as Peeta, again, fantastic performance. Everybody put on a fantastic performance, and I give Hunger Games Catching Fire a very, very high score of a 10 out of 10. I fucking loved the movie. It was so good, and also kind of sad to see some of the moments play out on screen that I had just read about and were still recovering the trauma from. So yeah, getting to see it play out on screen, it was incredible, and I thoroughly enjoyed the Hunger Games Catching Fire era, so to speak, of this current deep dive. This was great. I really liked this. Thoroughly into the Hunger Games now. I think this was the one that sold me on being a Hunger Games fan. I'm like, I don't know if I'm a Hunger Games fan yet. Like, internally on the fence. Nah, this one made me a Hunger Games fan. I am a thorough Hunger Games fan, and if you're wondering which one I do ship with Katniss, it is Peeta. I am an Everlark shipper. Hashtag Everlark. No thank you to Gale, and no thank you to Liam Hemsworth playing Gale. I think he was the only performance I really didn't like, and I don't know if that's just because I don't like Gale as a character, and Liam was doing a really good job at making me not like him, or if it's just because I really don't like Liam Hemsworth's acting. I haven't really liked his acting in anything, so maybe that's just me. I don't know. So yeah. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know in the comments below. If you're looking forward to my Mockingjay video, also let me know. If you're looking for my socials will be here on the screen. Popping them up for you. There you go. I think that's it. Yeah. I love you all so much, and I hope you have the best day. Bye.